Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. Since becoming a member of Congress, I've had the chance to visit Afghanistan 5 times. And on my last trip with Congresswoman Davis and a group of us that went over on Mother's Day and have done so for a number of years with a twofold emphasis, one, to meet our women serving in our behalf and to thank them and to see what their experiences are, but also to sort of see where Afghan women are. And in every instance, but in particular in this time, we always meet with an impressive group. We met with female cadets at the country's military academy. We met with women working at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. We met with a whole host of students and teachers, university students in Herat, government officials, and community leaders. And their stunning accounts, really, of life in Afghanistan before and after Taliban rule really makes so real for us something that we already know, that Afghan women, in the course of our being there, are now broadly participating in Afghan society, particularly in urban areas, and that they are vital to the stability of their country. Countless studies have shown that gains for women have a direct positive effect on sustainable development, economic growth, and most importantly, peace. Women's equality is more than a moral issue. The investment in women and girls is a matter of national security for Afghanistan and I think for our country. Significant gains have been made over the past decade, and I think it's really important for us to make sure that they are protected to the greatest extent possible as we continue to draw down. We also heard, really, you talk about the whole notion of abandonment and how concerned Afghanis are that they will be abandoned as we draw down. This was particularly true with many of the women that we met with. They have taken advantage of the opportunities that have been offered. They have brought great talent and professionalism to what they do in Afghanistan. They are deeply committed to their country and very worried as we draw down as to where they will be left. And it actually troubles me that today, other than Ms. Lockhart, that I haven't really heard, except in response to a question, any of you really mention Afghan women, because we also hear over and over again how important it is that at the very least we talk about women as we do all that we need to do. So you all have mentioned a lot of facets to our drawdowns. It's the elections. I think we should be talking about what we do to have women fully participate. We did, with Congresswoman Davis's question, negotiations of the bilateral security agreement. How do we put these issues on the table? Participation in the security forces and the police. We met with young cadets who are participating in the security forces. We hear some of the alarming incidents that are visited upon them, as well as on the police. And even in terms of the conditionality, as we draw down, what do we put in place to hold the new government's feet to the fire? So my question is really, it's for all of you. I won't have time really, but I'd like to ask you, Secretary Flournoy, that understanding the current situation for Afghan women, both plus minus the very fragile nature of their gains, do you believe it is possible for Afghan women to play the necessary role in shaping Afghanistan's future? And how do we make that happen? What is it that we in particular can do, not just broad statements, but are there metrics we should put in place so that we can actually measure and hold all of us accountable as we draw down?
Absolutely. And Congresswoman, I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, in my written testimony, I do actually address this issue and agree with make actually some of the same points you just made about the importance of women in the overall development of Afghanistan. I do think it's important that we track very carefully women's participation, access to education and health care, participation in the economy, everything from their roles as entrepreneurs to more broadly, and also participation in politics, as more and more women have done. They have taken real risks to become more fully part of Afghan society again, and they will face substantial danger if there's any sort of rollback of that trend. I agree with Claire that the biggest thing we can do is shore up our commitment, but I think tracking metrics associated with women, reaching out and engaging as you have been doing, as other officials travel people to people, but building those ties and ensuring that we are supporting them and trying to ensure that there isn't any kind of backsliding as we draw down and the transition occurs. I think it's a very, very important element of our policy.
I'm sorry I don't have a chance to hear from all of you, but just the hedging that might be going on for Afghan women as they're trying to calculate what lies ahead for them. At the very least, if we don't bring them up in public discussion, that will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. They'll begin to withdraw on their own.
Thank you, Ms. Tsongas, and I've had the privilege of being with Ms. Tsongas to see how inspiring it is to see little girls going to school. It just is a heartwarming experience. We now recognize Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona.